The thing that I want to talk about is the Journey of Vaccinations. For those of you that don't know, Vaccination is a game that me and Alex have been working on since 2016. I will obviously be telling you more about what it is, but it is one of our personal projects that we've been working on. And so the focus of it is going to be about it and us and what it's done for us and where we've gone with it. First things first, who am I, for those of you who don't know, or maybe expand a little bit more on those of you who don't know me that well. My name is Katy Marshall. My Twitter handle is KitKat_Marshall. If you want to see some of the cool stuff I do, because I do not really post personal stuff on there, I try to keep it things that I'm working on and things that I'm making, just keep it professional. I am a freelance contractor, and my job titles are, or the things that I've worked on. And the last one, which is the one that we will be focusing on, though I will obviously be dabbling in some of those other ones, is alt control / custom control. Custom control designer. Yeah. What is that? What does that mean? Just as a disclaimer, because I don't want anyone looking at, because I'm going to be pretty much telling you how I've been getting into how I've gotten into the games industry, how I've made an impact, what has worked for me. What I believe is really good. I don't want people to assume that that is the way to do it. Obviously, this has just worked for me, and I'm still learning a lot of stuff, because I've only really been doing this for about 2 years? 2-3 years?
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So, a bit of backstory. Just to cover some of the basics of where I've come from. I did not go to university. I decided not to. For a couple of reasons, but I won't go into too much detail as to why. One was just that when I was going to go, they tripled the yearly, what do they call it? Yearly fee?
Tuition.
Yeah, tuition fee. And so I was just like, shit. 3 years would have originally cost me $9,000, but now 1 year cost me $9,000. And I'm not entirely sure if I need to go or want to go, so maybe I should not go until I know. But I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I thought university would probably be really, really bad for me at the current time. And so I missed out on that wonderful 3 years of discovering who you are as a person, having to be independent. But I sort of got that experience, but instead of it in 3 years and 3 months in America, I worked at a summer camp in USA, specifically New York. And it was first time I'd gone to America. First time I'd gone somewhere for more than 3 months where it was a 5-hour time difference from all my friends and family. First time I've ever gone somewhere completely by myself, and I was absolutely terrified. But the great thing with that is it allowed me the opportunity to see that I would survive as opposed to completely drown. And one of the great things that happened over in America was that I discovered the maker movement, which is a really wonderful movement. I won't be able to go into too much detail about it at the moment, but if you're interested in knowing, what that is, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it at great length. And through learning about the maker movement, it helped me to learn more through teaching, because when you're at America in the summer camp, you'll find that no one knows what they're doing, and it's a relief, but also still very terrifying, because you're meant to be looking after kids. But what it meant for me was that I had to learn quickly. Not only was I learning for myself and to teach, but also to teach other people, and that meant that you had to learn things in more than one way, just because no kid is taught the same way as the previous kid. When I came back from America, I wanted to continue doing stuff that I was doing over in the summer camp, and that led me to finding Makespace. What is this space? You'll remember this from the previous photo. Makespace is called a makerspace or a hackerspace. It is a community-run space that gives its members, or sometimes the community, access to a variety of tools depending on what that space is able to afford and able to equip itself with. It is more often not heavily community-run. So Makespace has laser cutters, it has 3D printers, it has silkscreen, you can't see it, but through the double door in the back, it has a wood shop with metal lathes and wood lathes and CNC machines and all kinds of cool toys that I love playing with. Behind, it has an electronics bench, space, and also a community of people that, if you give them tea and the right amount of biscuits, will more than happily teach you some new skills for free, which is great. So that was really good for me because it was a space that helped me make Vaccination, which is an alt control game. In the games industry, there is a sub-genre? Would you say a sub-genre? Yeah. There's a sub-genre called alt control, and it is short for alternative controller. That should hopefully enlighten you as to what it is. It is either, me and Alex have personally broken it down into, I think, 3 ways. It is either, if there's a pre-existing game, it is a way of, another way of playing that game, instead of more often not stepping away from the keyboard and stepping away from the original gamepads or the generic gamepads. It's either a way of playing with a pre-existing game, or taking a fresh game idea and putting a whole new twist on how you interact with it, so you don't even consider using a gamepad, you don't even consider using the keyboard, you find a completely fresh take on how you want people to play the game. And what's the third one? Was there a third one?
I'm sure there's a third one.
I don't think there's a third one, never mind. But the idea of this is, because video games are very big, they're very huge, everyone wants to do stuff on a screen,
I remembered it. So it's a game that doesn't necessarily need it's a controller that is a game, so you don't need a screen component.
Oh, line wobbler.
Yeah.
Line wobbler. Oh. Really? That's a game? Okay. Alright. Fair enough. I mean, I guess Choosatron is that. Choosatron is a interactive fiction randomizer. So you, as the title tells you, you get to choose the story you go for, depending on which button you press. It's one of those interactive fictions where it's like, do you go left, do you go right, do you do nothing, do you shake the hands with the devil? And then depending on what you choose, it will then progress with the story that's been triggered. And the really cool thing is you get to rip that story and take it home with you. And you've got other ones where, not the old name, Fantastic Beasts of Balance? Beasts of Balance, yeah, because Harry Potter told them they couldn't have Fantastic Beasts in the title. Yeah, right. That's nothing. Yeah, so that is Animal Jenga, but with a tablet. I'm hoping that sounds cool because it is a really cool game. So it's taking old-style board games and combining it with digital technology, which is sort of starting to happen now. So yeah, we were really interested in that because for me, as I said, I was a designer. I'm an artist. I like doing things with my hands, and I wanted to get into games because I like the aspect of storytelling. But I was also a bit terrified because I just couldn't wrap my head around coding, and I was actually very forceful about not learning to code because I'm an artist, and words in coding format just don't make sense to me. Obviously, I'm a little bit different now. And when I was introduced to alt controls and the possibility that games didn't have to be the whole element of games didn't have to be you coding a great mechanic and then having it on the screen, but it could also be taking traditional things like the fun that you used to have with board games and physical puzzles and even playground puzzles and being able to combine them with digital aspects. That is a game. That nice bundle of all the fun stuff that you remember when you were a kid, that you can put those into video games. So you can make those games. And I thought that was really cool because I can't code, but I can design stuff, I can get physical, I can laser cut, I can 3D print, I can do some of the electronics, I can wrap my head around that. And so we took part in a game jam. Me and Alex did, and it was originally, as you can see on the day, it was definitely a 10-day game jam. We only did a weekend because we had a life and we had to work, so we just did it for a Saturday and a Sunday. And the product that we made is this thing right here. Alex had the want to do something based on operations, and I remember I think I liked that game as a child. Definitely remember playing it. And so he had this idea and he pitched it to me, and I didn't have an idea, so we just did his idea. I honestly just wanted to make something fun. I just wanted to laser cut and 3D print, and yeah, that's what we did. And so we made a game which involved you injecting vaccines into a patient. And the main element that we used to make that work with our game, because we did have a digital aspect to it, was, you can sort of see it in the top right corner, was Makey Makey, which are wonderful devices, and I will definitely try and sell them to you. We shelved it, although that's fine, we'll come back to this later, we've got to do work and do other stuff. But come around end of November, beginning of December, calls for games had been announced. So Now Play This, which was part of both of these events are part of the London Games Festival. March time? Was that when they were around? Yeah, so these were events that were going to happen during March. So end of November, beginning of December, they were saying, who's got a cool game, who's got a cool project, let us know. So wonderful, alternative, weird and wacky, this game we're working on would most definitely fit with that. Left Field Collection, Alex had actually submitted an alt control game for it sometime in the previous year, so we knew that, and we also knew David, who curates it, so we knew he'd be interested in an alt control game. The key thing from this is that it wasn't just that these popped up on Twitter and we went, cool, we're just going to submit a game. We knew what they were going to be looking for. We knew that a custom controller game would fit in with roughly with what they wanted. Obviously, it did depend on whether or not the custom controller game was good, but we were very confident that it would be of interest to them. So we submitted, but obviously, that was the original game. That is not exhibition worthy. That is probably not going to survive more than 5 people. So when we submitted it, we said we'd make it nice, bigger, and more durable. So please accept us. But also, don't think this is the game you're going to get. And I think I mocked up some documents and just kind of, I don't want to say bullshit, but I definitely fluffed it up a little bit. And also, we had 3 months. If we got accepted, we had 3 months. And I think Now Play This had a small bursary to pay. So I made sure that whatever I made was not too expensive, and that they'd essentially be covering it. So we got accepted. Yay. Awesome. Cool. For me, this was the first time that I was going to be exhibiting a project that I'd contributed to, so I was excited, but also nervous as hell. And now that we got the go-ahead to make it, I had to make it more robust. I had to think about longevity. I had to think about that. Left Field Collection at EGX Res was going to be 3 days, a 3-day exhibit, which we didn't want to have to worry about having to run back to Cambridge from London, having to fix something. We wanted it to hopefully survive. Now Play This was only for the day, but again, we didn't want to have to do any major fixes or completely rebuild it if it didn't survive. So I had to look at other tools. Originally I'd only done it with a laser cutter, so I was looking at ways I could 3D print it. I was learning to CNC, which is really great, which meant I got to work with thicker, heavier wood, also I could make it way bigger, and that was great. We also made some slight changes to the game, because originally it was 1 player, and then we made it 2 players, so more people could play a game at events. Bonus, if more people can go through your game, festival people like it, and also the public likes it. So we exhibited it. This is at Now Play This, and that horrible dark picture is from Left Field Collection. We were unfortunately in like a cave of a place, but it went really, really well. One thing to maybe just say is that we hadn't actually play tested it until the day we had arrived, which was the day before the event, to set it up. So don't do that, please. Unless you like being extremely stressed and worried, be better with your time management. That's the one thing I can definitely recommend to everybody, because I'm still working on that. So I had been so focused on just making the damn thing, I hadn't even considered if it was going to be a fun game. Thursday came around, which was the first day of the event, and I was honestly blown away for one, we were terrified it was going to break at some point, so we stayed with it the whole day. But I was honestly blown away to see how many people really liked it. Not just thought, oh, this is weird, but just full on liked it. Like, we had a lot of people keep coming back to make sure their score was the highest score, and they wanted to do it again with a different set of friends, and they wanted to swap positions so they could have a go as the injector, and one could have a go as the scanner, and we were constantly having crowds of people play this game, and I was just kind of blown away. By this point, I hadn't gone around tobacco docks to see what else was around, because again, focusing on making sure this doesn't break. But when we did get a chance to do that, I guess Friday morning, I was kind of disappointed to find that there was no other alt control games. There was none. Not really, right? There was VR games. There was augmented reality games? All there was just a sea of... I haven't jumped too far, no I haven't. Apart, Now Play This definitely wasn't alternative controller games, like the whole place is just filled with wacky, cool things. But Left Field Collection, which was an EGX Res event at Tobacco Docks, and obviously big game companies are there and big games. And when we started going to other events, like we went to, we had our game at Day of the Devs in San Francisco, We had it. We went to GDC this year. We had it at other events up north in Yorkshire. And the one thing that really surprised me was that, yeah, all it was would just be a sea of keyboards and gamepads. And I thought, if you're making the effort to come out to these events to try a new game, and even some games had some really cool props. One in particular at Egypt Res 2017 was one called Knights and Bikes. And I saw it from just because I didn't have much time to go around and play every game, because it was more of a case of scan around, anything interesting, cool, I'll come back to that later. I saw one game that had bikes in front of it, and I thought, holy crap, that looks great. Please tell me you get to ride those bikes or do something with the bikes and that interacts with the game. No, you don't. You just stand between them awkwardly. And I thought that was a missed opportunity. When visitors make the effort to come, they want something special. They're going to be playing the game ahead of time, which is, I guess, special. But I find that if all I'm seeing is the same stuff over and over and over again, nothing stands out. Nothing is gripping my attention. Not really. And I'm thinking that if you really want people to see your game in a sea of keyboards and gamepads, surely a weird, vibrant, or just unusual or unique custom controller would make you go, I'm going to play this game. This game looks interesting. This game looks cool. Especially because when you do have a custom controller, such as we had Vaccination, sorry, I got really close. When we had Vaccination, even though we were actually placed like in the back of the room, and you had all the games in front and we were just in a corner, but because we had people walking by and immediately going, this is weird, there's a human here, oh my god, what is going on? We constantly had crowds of people around us, and because we had crowds of people around us, it drew more people to us, because obviously they're thinking, why is everyone crowding around this one game? And that really, really helped. So my main thing here is, because I'm going to go into some pros and cons of alt controls for those of you that might be thinking about doing it, is that I do think these sort of places could do with them, and I personally want there to be way more content, because there honestly isn't. But there obviously, if you're wanting to do this, and especially if you don't know quite what it's going to take, it's always good to know what are the benefits and what are going to be some disadvantages. So obviously, the cons of having an alt controller, I'm going to do negatives first and then go on to the positives, just because I like ending on up as opposed to down. So understand the disadvantages of an alt control is the fact that maybe you don't think your game can implement it. A bit like what Alex was saying, is that if you're not thinking about it from early on, when you get to the end, it's a bit of a weird thing to try and look at this product that you've been working on and then going like, well, how can you play it without a keyboard or a mouse? Like, what would be another way of playing it? Like, we're so used to playing it that way. And so implementing it can be a bit hard. You're not too sure how, though if anyone has a game and they're wondering how they can, do come talk to me, because I love thinking about that. Another one is cost. And I mean in a couple of different ways. I don't mean money, though I don't mean just money, because it is a fact of you have to have a computer, you have to have a monitor, you have to have the keyboard and mouse for your game, and then if you want to do custom controllers, you then have to think about buying materials to build it with. So in my case, I had to think about wood, I had to think about filament, I had to think about nuts and bolts and screws, I had to think about buttons and joysticks and cables and wires and all that kind of fun stuff, and making sure I had a backup in case anything got broken and I had to patch it up. But also thinking of, if anything got broken, where can I get another copy of it? Because it's not just a case of replacing a screw, it's finding somebody else to 3D print it for me, which we had to do in San Francisco. It was stressful, but we found somebody, which was great. But yeah, you have that kind of problem. And the other one is the time, because you're going to have bugs and problems with a digital game, and then obviously if you have something physical, it's another element that you have to think about trial and error, think about iterating again and again and again. It's a whole other thing you want to get play tested, because you want to know, it's comfortable for me, but is it comfortable for you? It works for me, but do you know how to interact with it? Because that takes time, and that can be expensive. Complications. Your game might have bugs, the computer might crash, the controller might not work, the buttons don't work, everything blows out. That can be stressful. Logistics. It's easy to ship a game to somebody, but when you have to literally ship the game to somebody, and that can cost money, and also if it gets lost, oh my god, or thinking about the time it might take to get that can be stressful. We had to do that for San Francisco. We had to ship it within 5 days to GDC. I mean, we sent him a digital copy of the game, but sending him a physical copy was a bit hectic. Capitalism. People asking you, how are you going to make money off of this game? I think for us, when we were at EG Express the first time, it was when the Switch was out, and it was also, conveniently enough, on April the 1st, so April Fools. And so everyone was asking us, nice project, but how are you going to make money off of this? I'm like, oh, haven't you heard? We're teaming up with Nintendo and the Switch, and we're going to like have our own version of it out on there. What if we? Well, I guess it kind of would have been nice if if Nintendo could have come to us and been like, what are we doing with you? But they didn't. And then, I mean, currently now we have people talking to us about Nintendo Labo, like, are you going to do stuff in Nintendo Labo? Well, we'd love to, really love to. But it's annoying because it's such a lot of people know what to do with an actual game, but when it comes down to a custom controller game, it's such a new thing. We are currently exploring it, and that will be in itself its own talk, because we're currently talking to museums and galleries and collections of people, because you're not really looking at General Joe's and the market as a whole. You're not looking at getting out to 1,000 people. You probably want to look at getting out to maybe 10 people, but just at a way higher price. Alright, pros. Why is it worth it? Exhibition space. There are a lot of different alternative collections and curators that want these games, and the great thing is most of those people will give you space for free. Left Field Collection. You do not pay a dime apart from getting there with your game. David really likes custom controllers as long as they're good. If you can show him a really good one, you will get a spot at Left Field Collection. You might get a spot. I don't want to guarantee anything. But the thing is, he likes weird, wacky custom controllers because he wants his collection to be weird and strange and odd. There's also GDC. You get a free ticket to go to GDC. You have to go to GDC, but you can get into GDC for free. I mean, that's what happened for me and Alex. We got a $2,000 ticket for free, the two of us, which was great. And it was definitely an experience. And there are tons of other festivals, not just games festivals. Like, we're currently going to be sending the game to a science festival in Germany. So you have, and that kind of taps into untapped pathways. You're not just looking at game festivals anymore. You're looking at all kinds of different festivals. Like, I've actually been approached by somebody to talk about having the game at musical festivals. I think, what was that one down south in Brighton? It's a weird hippie one. They love this stuff. They think it's fucking amazing. Which is what I'm fine for. Pay me, have my game, by all means. But also, it's rare content. It's new to people, and they've never seen anything like it, which means that you will get an attraction. You will get people wanting to come see you. What's also good is journalisms will find you unique and amazing, and you'll be worth clickbait stuff on the internet. That ties in with an attraction because it's different. People have never seen it. They want to come see what it is, and it's obviously a really good photo op for advertisement. Sometimes it's also accessible depending on what the game is, and I don't mean that just for if you're disabled or whatever. I mean it because the amount of couples that we had coming and play our game, where the partner, who was clearly the gamer of the two, would come up and play the game, and then the other partner was kind of like, I'm here reluctantly, I don't want to be here, I want to be someone else. And we're going to be like, well, do you want to play this game with them because they need another person, they need a partner doctor. And they were obviously kind of, oh, okay, I'll play the game, but they took to it really well because it wasn't, here's a gamepad and you have to do combinations and there's a really steep learning curve. It was more approachable for them. It meant that they didn't have to consider themselves a gamer to be playing the game. They could just jump in and play it. And more often than not, the game can be unforgettable because, again, it's rare. No one's ever seen it before. And as I mentioned, you get more than just game festivals interested in your game. I think the previous year I was really put out that this is meant to be the Eurogame or the UK gaming festival to show what's new and great and amazing, what people should be paying attention to. And when I found out that we were the only out control, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, what is going on? And I did say to Alex, like, I'm going to see if I can talk to somebody about getting a collection of alt controllers. Like, they have board games, they should have alt controllers. And then Rocket Paper Shotgun were like, no, we're ahead of it, we're doing it. We think it's cool, we think it's great, we think this is something unique, and so we're dedicating our space to custom controllers, and they had some great collections of stuff there. So the fact that they're aware that it's a thing that should be getting attention should hopefully maybe encourage some of you to think about it. If you're interested and you want to get involved with it and you're trying to figure out where to start, please let us know, or come and talk to us, because we do workshops where we try and get people started or getting people thinking about what equipment, what technology should be using. Makespace would most definitely be a good place to do most of that in because you have all the tools you need. But also, I just want more people making this stuff. Whether you're looking at it as a way to make a lot of money or not, there is a lot to be gained from doing it. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah? Yeah, that's it.